Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In the last video, we built a fully working clone of Alarmy for free. But right now, all your alarms and history are trapped on your local device using async storage. If you want to build an actual app, you need a real backend database. Today, I'm going to show you how to take our Expo React Native app and connect it to a live cloud database using Supabase, completely for free. By adding a backend, we unlock features like user accounts, saving alarm settings across devices, and tracking user streaks on a leaderboard. We aren't rewriting our app from scratch. We're just going to feed our existing Replit project a single, powerful prompt that uses Supabase's official agent configuration. It will migrate our local storage over to Supabase, auto-generate our database tables, and give us the exact security policies we need to paste back into Supabase. Our stack today is simple. We're going to use Supabase, which gives us a Postgres database and user authentication without costing a dime. Replit, we're using its AI assistant to refactor our code from local storage to cloud storage. And finally, we're going to use Expo Go to test our database syncing live on our phones. So let's go ahead and set up Supabase. So I'm in my Supabase account right now, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new project. I'm going to call this Alarmy. But of course you can call it whatever. You need to pick a password for this, and we don't need to touch anything else over here. We're good. Okay, so we can just go ahead and hit create new project. All right, so while this provisions, we can go back into our Replit. We're gonna keep this tab open because we need the project URL and our API key in the next step, but I'll get to that. Okay, so let's go back here to Replit. So I have kind of a long prompt, so I'm going to explain this sort of in steps. Here is the first part of it, just like a basic summary statement for Replit. So we want to migrate our React Native app from using local async storage to a live cloud backend using Supabase. Right, so where do we begin with all this, right? If we go back into Supabase, actually, the first thing that we want to do is make sure that we set up one special thing for authentication. So if you go in to the left here, there's a tab here for authentication. Just for our testing purposes for right now, we're going to turn this feature off. So if you go in here to sign in / providers, it says for user signups, this button by default is checked on, confirming emails. But because we're just testing, we don't need to have this turned on. We can just test. But of course, like if you're publishing an app for real, you probably do want confirm email on. But anyways, that out the way. To connect our project to Replit, we're going to click this connect button up here. Now, Supabase basically gives you different instructions based on what framework we're using. And again, we're using Expo React Native. So in here, we can just go ahead and scroll down until we find it. So here we go. And they actually provide a nice little prompt for us that sort of summarizes all of these instructions into like one single prompt, but I'm gonna go through it just like a couple steps. So here we go. This is the prompt that I have, which almost pretty much exactly copies Supabase's, but we're gonna start by just pasting this into Replit. Okay, so again, this is just what's over here. So we want to make sure that they install this. And those are actually the API keys in the URL, but I don't want to paste that directly into Replit myself. Replit actually has a cool feature where it'll the assistant will ask you for the credentials. So instead of pasting it into plain text, you can wait for that prompt. We're going to call on that pretty specifically in a second, but yeah, this is you just don't want to have this pasted out there. Okay, so that's like the first part of that, which is just like Supabase setup stuff. But now we want to get more specific into our actual app. So we want to describe like what kind of a table we want from Replit, right? So we want a table called alarms, and it needs to match like this schema is what I came up with. So it's like it needs to have an ID, and then the user that it's linked with, the time, and then et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure that we set this up properly, and then that's the first part. And then we also want to make sure that we have Replit create that like sign up or a sign in page, and then that way we can create the account in the beginning. So we're gonna just paste that part in as well. So before accessing the alarms, we wanna create that user session. And then at the end, what we need to do is mention this specific part right here. So RLS policies, or row level security policies, are crucial. So basically what these do is in Supabase, we'll actually set them up so that no one user is able to see or delete another user's alarms just by accessing the database. So Replit's gonna help us write that security policy for us so we can just paste it in. So I'm gonna send off this whole prompt to Replit and we'll see how that goes. So as you can see right here, it is asking me for that URL and that anon key. Sometimes what Replit ends up doing is, messing up the order. So in here it says it's asking for the URL and then the key, but here it says the key and the URL, and that was kind of hidden when we were in here. So just expand that to make sure what order that's in. And then if you go back to your Supabase, you can actually find it right here. So this is the URL. We're just gonna paste that in there. And then this is the key. So we can paste that into here. And let me just take a look, make sure I didn't. Okay, perfect, that looks good. And continue. So of course over here, it has the steps laid out. So it's requesting the credentials, and then it'll create all these files, and then rewrite the existing files to sort of match this new format of like adding it to the database. And then we need that row level security policy. So yeah, it'll just keep going. All right, so here it's given us actually the SQL that we asked for. This is going to be our RLS policy. And as you can see, this is just the SQL to create the table itself. But yeah, let's just go ahead and do this. So I'm going to hit copy. And what we can do is go in here, and right here to our left, there's something called SQL Editor. And we can just paste it in over here and then hit run. And boom, so now our tables are created, which we can go and see if we click on table editor. There's our table alarms. And then if we keep going, it's asking us to enable auth, but that is by default enabled. And boom, okay. So what we want to do now is test it out. We were facing this problem last time too with preview in Replit. So I'm just going to pull this up on Expo Go. Okay, so now as you can see, there is actually a sign in, sign up page. So we can go ahead and just create a dummy account. So I'm gonna call it whatever, and then let's just create this account. Okay, so now what we want to check for is as we create this account, we want to be able to see a change in our SQL. So I'm just going to check over here, keep this tab open, and I'm going to create an alarm. So 5 p.m. is fine, and then let's say we want it to repeat Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And let's set this. Okay, so we want to reload here and make sure we see that. Okay, perfect. So we have an ID for the alarm itself. We have that linked to that user ID as well, which we can actually go and see. So there's our user ID, test@gmail.com. And then we have the time. We didn't provide a label, but we have the repeat days, and we didn't set a mission either. But actually, let's go ahead and see if we can try all of these different things out. So I'm gonna go ahead, that's fine, and we can click a mission. Let's do math. That's good, perfect. And let's maybe do it for 6 o'clock instead. And then let's hit set. So this should also populate in here. And perfect. The mission type and everything is set. All right, now what's gonna happen if we change this? So instead of, let's have these ring on Saturdays and Sundays. I'm just gonna hit update, and we wanna see that change in here in repeat days. Okay, so I'm not seeing a change right now, even though it's in here. So we can actually ask Replit to fix that for us. So let's talk to it. Let's say I want when edits are made to the alarms, changes should be saved and updated in Supabase. Make sure. In the meantime, the rest of our app seems to be looking good. All right, so now let's test this out. So that same alarm, set it for the weekends, and maybe we change it to type of phrase. That's fine. And then we can hit save. All right, so let's go ahead and check this out in Supabase. And there we go. We see that alarm has changed. We now have the changed mission type, as well as like the phrase and the repeat days. Just like that, we went from a local prototype to a cloud-connected application with a secure database backend entirely for free. Now that we know how to connect Supabase to Replit, what features do you guys think we should add next? Let me know by dropping your ideas down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.